All right, everybody, on this Wednesday afternoon, a fairly busy Wednesday afternoon. I'm meteorologist David Glenn, Storm Track 9 Weather Center. And if you've been following me on social media, you've seen some of the updates over the past couple of hours as showers and storms have become gradually more numerous and a cool front's easing by. So we anticipated this, that storms will start picking up in coverage. And here we go. We've had several advisories out and at least one severe thunderstorm warning, which does include portions of Hamilton County. You can see the warning right there. Heavy downpours already reaching downtown all the way back around Sunny Daisy. So it's the bad time of day. We've got a lot of after-school activities going on. You've got traffic picking up on 27 and 24, and here comes all this heavy rain down. And even some advisories extended down into North Georgia. So let's get you caught up in exactly what's happening, first of all, with that warning that's across Hamilton County. You can see the outline of the polygon here. There are two polygons there. One is for the advisory area. One is for the main warning, which includes Walden, Red Bank, and in Chattanooga. So putting that into motion, that's dropping down to the south at about 10 miles an hour. But even the heavy rain is kind of outpacing the polygon. A lot of heavy rain and lightning in around the downtown area. But as far as the warning itself, just to give the timeline, that's out till 4:30 Eastern. And again, to include just a few communities that I mentioned, downtown, Red Bank, Signal Mountain, Walden, even into Red Bank, as I mentioned, heavy rain and some strong wind gusts. Let's take a look at some of the wind gust potential in that storm. It's a pretty wide storm. Let's take a look mainly to that area right there. Look at the heavy rain around downtown. You can see it isolated right there. But let's look at the wind involved there. Yeah, and you can see some strong gusts right in there, right along 127 coming down Taft Highway, down into Red Bank. So some strong gusts there. Let's take a look at the gust potential there. There's going to be some occasional bursts in there for upwards of around 50 to 60 miles an hour. Let me check down to the south here just a little bit. And you can see even some strong gusts in and around the city initiated by the rain moving in. So you got some strong gusts even away from where that polygon is in effect. And that's the reason why also that advisory has been extended down across portions of Walker, parts of Catoosa, and parts of Dade counties and moves down roughly to the south and southwest. Hold on one second. Oh, sorry about that. Had a little hallway noise there breaking through the microphone. Anyway, you see some downpours near Trenton, heavy rain back through South Pittsburgh to Whitwell. And there are many other areas that are still under advisories right now. That includes Cleveland, heavy rain with that storm from Hopewell to Cleveland, in and around the Snow Hill area, and really right along Highway 58. You can see right here, heavy downpours of rain there all the way to where it parallels 75, down to Ottawa, down to Collegedale. These are advisories, not necessarily a warning, but you can still get to have wind gusts upwards of 40 miles an hour in those areas. And those storms again are moving toward the south and southwest, roughly at around 10 miles an hour. You can see quite a bit of lightning all across Bradley County, right where it borders Hamilton County. And then you can see some pockets of stronger gust here in and around Cleveland. Right there, some stronger gusts coming through. So it's going to get a little windy, a lot of rain, a lot of lightning. And we say so often with thunder roars, you head indoors. And there's a lot of lightning with these storms today, even the wind gust potential as well. But as you can see, even though we got that Warren storm here, Chattanooga to Red Bank, up to Sunny Daisy, there's still quite a bit of activity even farther north from Altamont to Dunlap. Several advisories here too. Not one over Sequatchie County, but there's a tremendous amount of heavy rain with that. More lightning over parts of Grundy County, and that's moving down to the south. So Pelham, Colmont, Altamont, Tracy City, right along 41, heavy rain, lightning moving in, which eventually is going to move into portions of Marion and on into Franklin County. But again, the one warning right now is out for the next half hour. A lot of the storm is outpacing the polygon, but nevertheless, you're still under that warning. Walden, Red Bank, Signal Mountain. into downtown, especially the North Shore, and back all the way up 153 through Hickson. We get some downpours outside our studios right now. But even downtown, very heavy rain there. East Ridge, right along 24 and 27. So Alton Park, East Ridge, heavy rain. Brainerd getting the heavy rain now. Right along the crest of the ridge there, some very heavy rain. To give you an estimated timeline here of arrival, it's about to reach, or it's probably already reached Fort Oglethorpe, crossing the state line, Cloud Springs area, Fort Oglethorpe. So let's kind of track this as it moves to the southwest at about 15. We're going to track this leading edge right here. Let me zoom out just a little bit more. This is going to have some wind on the leading edge of it. So you can see a little time of arrival, Chickamauga, actually Fort Oglethorpe in the next minute. It hasn't already started. And in Chickamauga, 15, 20 minutes away, and then headed down through central parts of Walker County on into Dade County, not far from the Pigeon Mountain, Lookout Mountain area within the hour. So heavy rain, lightning moving your way. Already a thunder shower there at Trenton, but not severe at this time. And likewise, we'll do this little band here near Cleveland for areas farther south. Well, goodness gracious. Let's go back. Try again. Peter's having all sorts of fun with me today. There we go. So we'll time her out. South Cleveland the next minute or so. Parksville around 4:35. Prater Mill around 4:45 on into Whitfield County. So within the hour from Ringgold, northern parts of Murray, even right along the Polk Bradley line, you got some heavy downpours moving in. This again doesn't have a warning with it, but it does have very heavy rain and lightning, very disruptive to traffic this time of day. Ignore that. That's an old rainfall amount right there. Just ignore that frame, please. It's not being cooperative with me today. These are old. There we go. It's not being cooperative with me today. Let's see. There we go. So let me show this again. You can see all the advisories here that are showing up all up and down from Grundy through Marion, back through Franklin, Bradley, Walker, Catoosa, Dade, and the main warning right here. So the advisories are those steps that are just under a warning, and the main warning is right here, so wind gusts could be upwards of 60. Far southwestern Franklin County also under warning, but again, most of that storm has passed out of Franklin County in that area. See the heavy rain already reaching Fort Oglethorpe. Back to East Brainerd. Bad time of day with all this traffic going on this time of day. So please be careful out there. Ground's still saturated from last week. So it's going to be excessive runoff and some flooding in spots. So do be aware of that. You got all the Snow Hill up 58 all the way to Cleveland on 75. And northward 27 Red Bank, and kind of where I guess you get off at like at Morrison Springs right there. So heavy, lots of lightning around. Again, we'll go back to the velocity scan here, take a look at the wind. There's some strong gusts with this. Got a few pockets here. kind of averaging 15 to 20 there, but there's going to be some individual pockets, so there are going to be some stronger gusts showing up. And along with that tremendous rainfall rates, let me just give you an example. If it rained for an entire hour that long, it could produce upwards of that much rain. But again, it's moving, so it won't be exactly that amount, but there's a lot of rain coming down. So you're looking at rates probably upwards of about an inch per hour with some of these. And so again, it's falling on already saturated ground. And so that's going to cause some flooding issues in spots. Hopefully not, but with it, raining that heavily, you could easily get about an inch or so. But again, that 4.8 is if it just sat there for hours time, but it is moving. So it won't be exactly that amount, but just gives you an idea of how heavy the rain is coming down at the moment. All right. Looking at some of the comments here, not to ignore that. LaShawn asking, is there a tornado threat? Yeah, that threat's very low with these. Mainly it's heavy rain, lightning, some occasional strong gust right now, but not a tornado threat is extremely low with this situation. Looks like they allowed that warning to expire. And they did. That warning did expire for Hamilton County. That's good. But nevertheless, it's still raining quite heavily there. So basically, we've got this line right here from Cleveland to downtown, back to South Pittsburgh and Stevenson, all gradually dropping down to the south. And then a secondary line back behind that, which is just kind of a reinforcement of more heavy rain. You don't want to see that. I mean, you get one round of heavy rain, saturates the ground, then another band comes in. Those repeated rounds sometimes can cause that runoff in some isolated flooding at spots. Hard to say exactly where that's going to be because so many areas were impacted differently, especially last week. In the area that get hit hard with 6 inches of rain, there are many areas rippling away from there that didn't get as much. But nevertheless, kind of a 1-2 punch of heavy rain coming in. So I got to keep an eye on that. Several advisories. These are all advisories along that line, a step below a warning. But just to give you an example, parts of Marion, parts of Sequatchie, that's out till 3:45 Central Time. So 4:45 Eastern. The winds could be upwards of 40 miles an hour. Same thing in Cleveland. That little advisory out till 4:15 Eastern. Again, wind gusts upwards of close to 50 and the very heavy rain coming down. But again, going back to this area, this is, you get a sense of deja vu from a week ago because it's falling in the exact same spot that saw the very heavy rain, not just on Wednesday, also on Friday. Had not only heavy rain, but also kind of a microburst with wind. Not seeing that at the moment as far as the wind, but we are seeing some very heavy rain. It is making movement, but again, at the moment, slow going on 24, 75, all the way back towards Lookout Mountain. Let me, we'll take a look at some of the TDOT cams here. I'll keep the radar up there for you. All right, there is a familiar scene from last week. That's I-24 at McBrien Road. So things are moving along. It is wet there, but nothing like what we had about a week ago. So that's good, folks. I have to take this call. I'm gonna leave the radar up and this view. I'll be right back.
Okay, I found a picture of Kevin Loper, Matt, on the Cody Block's page. I'm just confirming it's at Initiative. If I get it confirmed, yeah.
That's my wife in traffic. I want to know how bad situation is there. So I'm trying to keep her safe and telling her exactly what I'm telling you all. Okay. So, and she's on 153 and said it's just blinding rain there. So torrential downpours you see on I-24 right there, McBrien, things are moving along. So that's a good sight to see there. So let's get this off the screen and go right back to the radar view. There we go. So that heavy rain does extend down to the south on 27 to Oglethorpe. Back to Lookout with the heavy rain and lightning. And about where we are, give you some examples. We're seeing the easing just a little bit. So as you cross the dam towards Hickson, it's still raining, but the intensity does come down just a bit. So just to give you an update, the severe thunderstorm warning that was over Hamilton County has expired, but nevertheless, it is still a very noisy storm. It's still a dangerous storm. And what I mean by that is, with so much traffic this time of day, hence my wife calling me, asking how how long is that rain going to last because she's in traffic. Heavy rain, lightning is a big threat right now. I know there's a lot of outdoor activities going on after school, but I think our models from yesterday really handled this well, especially on the timing of these storms rolling in with this front. And now into this advisory area into Dade and Walker, which that advisory is out until I believe the top of the hour or just before that, 4:45 Eastern. Heavy rain with that. Lightning, that goes down into central Walker counties. These are starting to billow up. Strong gusts with this, but again, staying just below that threshold for severe. Cynthia says here, the thundering is alive and well in downtown Chattanooga. And yeah, you can see that for sure. You can see right around the city here and then farther back to the west, go to the Lookout Valley area, Tiftonia, tremendous amount of lightning right there, right on 24, right around the bend. So let's take it easy out there, folks. Let's take a look at the wind again. And you see some pockets of gusts going through downtown up the East Brainerd, Ottawa. So occasionally to get a gust, upwards of 40 miles an hour with the heavy rain and the lightning risk. But let's be aware of the wash off, excessive runoff, and the risk of some minor flooding in spots. And it's simply because the ground is so saturated. The advisory has expired in Bradley County. It's still raining there, but I don't think it's quite as intense in Cleveland as it is back over White Oak Mountain toward Ottawa, McDonald, and the areas farther south. You see a new advisory going up here for the rest of Walker, Catoosa, and a portion of Whitfield. That's out the top of the hour, 5 o'clock. And again, it's for the same reason. With that line dropping down to the south, could have gusts upwards of 40 miles an hour, frequent lightning, and heavy rainfall. In fact, one of our viewers here, Laurie, just saying wind starting to gust there in Ringgold. That's that gust front, right in advance of all that rain. So you get the wind picking up, and here comes the rain. Angela said getting really dark there in Cleveland. Dottie says the rain and wind is bad in Rossville. And Pam says power out in Ringgold. And ain't got the brunt of that getting there yet. Peggy says right off Germantown Road, very heavy rain, thunder, lightning, wind. Brooks says power out in Ringgold. So that's two people saying that. And really, if you look at that, Ringgold just now getting really just the pre-storm wind gust, not necessarily the heaviest rain yet. There's that gust coming in, and there it is kind of moving generally down to the south. The upper level winds that I've pointed out kind of moving southwest. These are more moving a little bit just against that, more this general south, maybe a slight hint southeast. They've picked up forward speed a little bit at about 20. So it's let's time out this line right here. Hold on one second. Expand this out just a little bit more because it is moving a little faster than the scope of the picture there. So it's usually an idea. Ringgold in the next minute, next few minutes. It says 4:30. I think it's going to be before then. Okay. Chickamauga, you're already getting the rain now, and it's roughly 4:17. So Lafayette, you've got rain to your west, right over Pigeon Mountain there, but we're tracking this line right here. So that portion there reached Lafayette about the next 20, 25 minutes to as far south as Villanelle by 5:11. Tunnel Hill around 4:53. So we're tracking that line right there. So again, Lafayette, you're hearing thunder to your west, but we're tracking that line right there. It's going to have some strong gusts out ahead of it. Just be aware of that. Let's track these other pockets, other advisories all over the place. South Pittsburgh to Stevenson, right along Highway 72 there in Jackson County, heavy rain. That goes back into eastern Franklin County. And right behind that, South Pitt, you're going to have more heavy rain coming your way, coming off the mountain there. Look at that. Look at all that lightning in there around Tracy City. Right here. Rain, not quite as intense as it was an hour ago in Dunlap, but still you go west of Whitwell, that far northern part of Marion, southern parts of Grundy, northeastern parts of Franklin, heavy rain, lightning, all right in there. So just be aware, all these areas in their advisory. That's Central Time, 3:45. And even farther north, you still got some more downpours coming in. Although once these storms develop and roll by, they kind of zap the atmosphere out of any energy, not the moisture. Now, the rainfall continues, but as far as the intensity or strength, it kind of dies down just a little bit. So we're hopeful that trend continues. So the strongest would be on this leading edge, dropping south and back to the south and west. Let me show you some of the temperatures. This is also a factor on days like this because there's so much tremendous heating. Then you got that added lift from the front. And you can see the result. Now look at that. Huge difference. 20-degree difference or so where it's been raining heavily. Crossville, Dayton, Pikeville, Whitwell, all these areas in the 70s where the storms have yet to reach. You're still hovering right around 90, very humid. So it's going to drop the temperature quite a bit. But again, there's a lot of heating. Still yet to go. A lot of fuel for those storms to move in as they move to the south and east. There we go. You can see farther back to the west, that red right there near Huntsville, that's a flash flood warning. So they're dealing with a little flooding this afternoon. No flood advisory yet. around here. But I want you to be aware of that the ground's still super saturated from last week. And these very heavy downpours can still cause some issues there. Jill asking about Cohutta. Well, Cohutta's right here. So you're going to be more getting the heavy rain shortly, but the real core of the heavy rain may stay just west of you a bit. It's going to rain quite a bit with some lightning, but again, that's really what you're looking at. It's below severe levels there for Cohutta, but be aware of the lightning, be aware of the downpours, but the heaviest might stay just to your west, at least with that core of the heavy rain right there. I think Ringgold, East Brand, or Ottawa will see more of the heavy rain than, say, Cohutta will. You get some, like you got some showers over you now, but you can see the core of that's just a little bit more to the west there, just to your west. Yeah, Cynthia says, so grateful for our cooler temperatures. I agree. Still a bit steamy, even though it's down to the 70s, but it does feel better. Next week will feel even better as well. A couple more days in the 90s and we'll get a break. All right, once again, I want to show you the TDOT cam again since we're seeing this rain moving south. Let's take a look again at the TDOT cams. And again, I'm showing you this. This is I-24 and McBrien Road. That's the area that had a lot of the flooding, most of the major flooding last week. And you can see right now traffic's moving along. So again, these storms are a little different. They're dropping a lot of heavy rain, but they're not parked over that area. Last Tuesday, we had several setup rounds of rain that super saturated the ground. Drains were already full, and then you had one park right over it and drop, 6 inches in 2 to 3 hours. This one's moving. Okay. So, and that likewise, traffic's moving along at a steady clip. So raining heavily there, as you can see on radar, we're looking at that area right here where I'm pointing out. So it's raining heavily. As you can see, traffic's moving along. Right. Steve says, getting tons of rain in Harrison. Yeah, we're close by you. And you can hear it on the roof right now. And Julie says, husband says, Hickson's bad, has pulled over. That's close to where my wife called me a few minutes ago. She was approaching Hickson. Same thing. Said it's pretty heavy. Just want a personalized update, on what's happening out there. But as you can see, north, it's the heaviest is here. You go up 153 toward Hickson, Hickory Valley area. Yeah, or to Saudi Daisy, excuse me. Yeah, it's still raining per se, but not quite at the intense rate that it was about 15 minutes ago. We're not over with that yet. There's still more heavy rain coming down Sale Creek to Decatur, though not severe. It's making some very heavy downpours, not as much lightning, but Decatur, 10 Mile, very heavy rain. Same thing over to Van Buren County. And again, kind of falling into two main areas where the heavy rain and lightning is now. Tracy City onto Mont Eagle. A lot of heavy rain and lightning there. It's going to take over that southern part of Grundy, most of the western half of Marion, eastern half of Franklin, and then move on into Jackson County. And then, of course, we've got this storm. When I say this, it's this one. That's now dropping from basically Chattanooga south into North Georgia. You're going to have strong wind gusts in advance of that line. So Ringgold's had some strong wind gusts, now getting the rain. A lot of folks are commenting that there's some power out there in Ringgold, so do be aware of that. Cynthia asking, are you expecting any chances of flooding on Chattanooga roads or highways? Well, there's going to be, when you have downpours like this, there's always going to be excessive runoff in areas where a drain may be slow to run off, or the typical areas that are low spots. So you got to be aware of that traveling. But right now, as we just took a look on the TDOT cams, we're not seeing what we saw last week as far as that. So things are moving along and the storms are moving along. So things seem to be draining well, but there's always going to be some isolated spots you may have to watch out for. There will be puddling going on. I know East Brainerd Road is one of those areas. Gun Barrel Road in East Brainerd is one of those areas that even though you get a heavy downpour out in Hamilton Place, there tends to be water on the road. So yes, do be careful. So there's always that chance there, but not seeing what we saw last week at the moment. Bella says the rain has stopped at Ottawa Harrison. Yeah, you can see it's lightening up just a little bit. Heaviest now right along the state line, but still in the heavily traveled, heavily populated area from 75-24. And farther down to the south, same thing, north and south 27. Basically from Red Bank down to just around the battlefield area. And you can see the outflow from the storm starting to percolate a few cells west of Lafayette into Gilmer County. So we're going to see more of that going on through the early stages of the evening hours. And this will be around through at least early evening and then kind of dying out. Nothing that'll last all night long. Okay. And just to show you the full scope of the radar, there's still some pockets here and there, although the intensity farther north a little bit less as you kind of use up the available energy in the atmosphere there. So again, as we approach 4:30, again, any other warnings have expired. So we're not dealing with the warnings in the moment. Mainly advisories, which is advising you that wind gusts could be around 40 miles an hour, heavy rain, lots of lightning. In other words, use caution if you must go outside. I always say when thunder roars, head indoors, but also remember the 30-30 rule. You wait 30 minutes since the last visible lightning strike or last audible clap of thunder before going back outside, starting activity, or as you can count 30 seconds between the lightning strike and resulting clap of thunder. 30-30 rule. So remember that with all these storms going on, because I know this has interrupted a lot of outdoor activities. There's a lot of practices going on outside after school, but right now it's a no-go right now. It's going to be a no-go for a while because the length of time you got to wait for the lightning threat. But at the moment, no other severe warnings, mainly just advisories around. So just saying, hey, be aware. Storms are kind of strong out there. But that's also why we're live streaming right now. So Ringgold to the battlefield, Fort Oglethorpe, Chickamauga, Rossville, Trenton, heavy rain, lots of lightning, pretty noisy out there, and windy, yes. But the winds are staying below that threshold of severe, but still noisy, nevertheless. And the same thing here near Mont Eagle, lots of rumbling on the mountaintop here, Tracy City, Mont Eagle, Suwanee, very loud there, very heavy rain coming down the mountain on 24 to Kimball, South Pittsburgh. Dunlap, some heavy downpours, but again, not severe at this time. Another pocket of moderate downpours from Decatur, Dayton to 10 Mile, borderlining Athens there. So again, this will all be lasting from now, which is now 4:30, through at least 7 o'clock as it descends down to the south, and still some of that residual showers coming in from the north and west. All right, my friends, that's an update for now. Just want to give you the scope of what's going on where everybody's kind of below severe threshold for now. We'll have another live update coming away, coming up at 5 o'clock, just actually before 5 o'clock, which we're also streaming live on newschannel9.com from 5 through 6:30. So we will have more updates coming your way. Keep an eye on that. Should anything become severe again, we, of course, will provide the update. But it is a bit noisy out there. It's raining hard. It's noisy with a lot of claps of thunder, and you got those occasional gusts. Do be aware of that. Let's just stay inside, let these storms pass on by, and then we just resume with the evening. But we are watching this for you. We'll keep you updated. And, of course, more updates coming up in just a few minutes on newschannel9.com, which you can also watch on all your mobile devices. All right, thanks so much for watching, everybody. All right, stay safe out there.